All right, of course, you're tuned into Weekend Dawn here on Newsroom Africa. We continue with more news, where in a video on Twitter, President Trump acknowledged President-elect Joe Biden's victory and called for a smooth transition of power. This was a clever tactic, as America was wounded, and calls for his removal mounted in a week that saw violent protesters storming into Capitol Hill. Supporters of President Donald Trump, who breached the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday, are now being hunted by authorities, and some are facing charges for their role in the mayhem. Well, early on Wednesday, police struggled for more than 3 hours to clear the Capitol of Trump supporters, where one woman died after being shot, and the FBI said it had disarmed 2 suspected explosive devices. Well, following the violence, Trump conceded for the first time on Thursday that Biden will be the next U.S. president. To unpack this further, we are joined by Professor Brooke Halubesha, Political Science Department, A&T State University lecturer. Professor Brooke, a very good morning, and thank you for joining us here on Weekend Dawn Newsroom Africa. I just want to look at the issue of Capitol Hill being a high alert building. Obviously, we saw the events that transpired this week, people forcing their way using props such as flagpoles and shoves and shields, So when we look at the National Guard's response to what transpired and how they kept or alluded to the fact that they kept a much lower profile than some of the previous protests that had occurred last year. I mean, the whys and hows of them storming U.S. Capitol. What is your take?
Thank you for the invitation and for welcoming me. It is really dramatic. What's happening in America is unbelievable. There is no parallel to it. The Capitol, the American Congress was assaulted, and that is shocking to us, to the U.S., as well as to the rest of the world. And the writings were on the wall, I will say. The last 4 years were accompanied by really tensions, all kinds of tensions. And what happened 2 days ago is, I'll call it as a culmination of this act. Extreme groups to the right, honestly, well organized with their own political platform, and also feeling that they have found an ally in the White House. And also reciprocally, the White House, the current president, Mr. Trump, also they forming part of his very, very decisive power base. It's like a deal made in heaven, as the saying goes. So what happened was that the National Guard actually did not come in. They are now well organized. If there is in January 11, another protest march has been called, for your information. I don't think it will happen because now the federal government would assist the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., and they will be assisted by Maryland and Virginia, the troops and National Guards, and they'll try to stop it. So there is an assault going on in the American system that is not lightly taken by each and every American, except for those hardcore militant groups. People are looking forward even to impeach the president. 3 options are now on the table. He's being advised to resign. There is an instant like Richard Nixon, Watergate scandal, as all of us might recall. That's one of his options. And also, there is a strong voice, a movement in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, that the president should be, the Vice President Mike Pence should invoke Article 25. That looks like to be not on the table. Speaker Pelosi is pushing in that direction in some senators, but that does not look like it's going to happen. So now the third option, which is impeachment, he being the first president in American history to be likely impeached for the second time. On Monday, already the articles of impeachment has just come out in the last hour. So they are preparing in a very, very systematic, rational way, justifying why he needs to be removed from office. So Monday will be another chapter in American political history where the current president, who is about to leave office January 20th, still there is this urge, this burning anger and desire that even if there are less than 2 weeks, 12 days remaining, people want that the president be punish the current president, who has really played a decisive role in what has happened in America lately. So he incited the people, his supporters, in the speeches that he made. He said that we will march down to the Capitol, and we will make these people be responsible and accountable. In a way, he's inciting an insurrection. An insurrection is constitutionally, legally is unacceptable. I'll say more on this about Article 25 and the rest in the articles of impeachment in our discussion as we continue.
Professor Burke, which obviously leads me to my next point. I mean, you spoke about the tactics used. You also spoke about the options available, including evoking the 25th Amendment, and also what that impeachment process might, serve as an option. I actually just want to look at then Trump going on to, calling for an orderly transition and of power. This was after the riots on Wednesday. But there are deep concerns that, that he may in fact what he may in fact do for the remainder of his term, before President-elect Joe Biden comes into power. I want to look at the security concerns that are, are being looked at ahead of the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden, and also with regards to that possible impeachment process. I mean, are these deep concerns warranted?
Yes, the concern is yes, they are warranted, but lessons are being drawn. Honestly, lessons are being drawn. It is now with an urge and with a sense of anger that Majority Leader Pelosi and the Senate Majority and minority leaders Schumer and McConnell and the team itself are all working, except for the hardcore 7 to 10 senators who still support Mr. Trump, like Ted Cruz. And the like. They are working hand in hand with the authorities that this incident should never happen. And believe it or not, a significant number of conservative senators of the Republican Party in the Senate, as well as in the House of Representatives, they have turned against Mr. Trump, looking forward for his removal. So security concern there is. Now, as to President-elect Joe Biden, yes, there is a concern that they might disrupt his inauguration. That's August. That's rather January 20th. But Ms. Wilson, January 11, as I have said, they have called another march towards Capitol Hill. So that will be a big confrontation. That will be really a day when there is when the federal government is going to be tested for its preparedness, for its militancy, for its organization. The FBI and all the security, the Department of Homeland Security are hunting down the militant core. They are still continuing every day. And they have informed the public that they will be ready for January 11 as well as the January 20th. So what they are planning is to really, as quickly as possible, like in a fast track way, to enact the articles of impeachment, which will start on Monday. The Senate had finally accepted that they will look into it because constitutionally, according to the American Constitution, by Article 1, Section 2, the articles of impeachment are started by the House of Representatives, and the conviction is made by the upper house, that's the Senate. So it's divided constitutionally, so as to balance each chamber. So definitely the majority of members of the House of Representatives will pass these impeachment articles. What is now a bit worrisome is that whether members of the Senate would pick up on this 2/3 majority vote to convict and to remove him. That's the biggest worry. But in terms of history, what we find is that this is like naming and shaming. Mr. Trump he's already the third president that has been impeached. The first one was Andrew Johnson. He was the successor of Abe Lincoln in 1868. He served and he was impeached in 1868. It fell apart. Bill Clinton was the second case. in 1998 because of Monica Lewinsky. It's more of a moral issue, ethical issue. And the third latest one was Donald Trump himself, who was impeached in 2019, but the votes was not a majority, so it collapsed. But the shaming part, the impeachment part is there. So he was the third president. He will be exceptionally a president who has been impeached 2 times. That is that is exceptional in American history. So what they're trying to do is that definitely House of Reps, they're going to vote for it. The Senate, we'll see. If that happens, then definitely even for a day, people are saying, politicians, statesmen, professors, lessons should be drawn. This person should be made accountable. He should be made responsible. Even for 24 hours, he should be removed. On top of that, for the entire length of his life, he should never be allowed to assume any kind of a federal state position in America.
Well, Professor Brook, we're going to continue, with that and taking a look at what unfolds as that situation unravels. But again, thank you very much for joining us here on Weekend Dawn. Again, Professor Brook Helu Besha, Political Science Department at the A&T State University, is a lecturer.